Hi guys, it's Brittany. So today I'm going to be talking to you about what to bring when you're traveling for work while you're breastfeeding. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my trip, how I planned it, what I'm packing, and then as well as where I'm packing it and why I'm actually packing it. So let's get started. So my trip, because I think that it matters in terms of how long you're traveling, because that affects what you bring, how much of it you bring, things of that nature. So I'm traveling from Virginia to New York. It's a straight flight. Flight is about an hour, and I'm only staying for 2 nights, 3 days. So very short trip. I have another one that's scheduled longer, so I'll be making another video about that. But I wanted to get this video in late at night. Excuse the lack of makeup. I never really wear makeup, but yeah, it's late here. Like I said, 2 night trip, 3 days, very short. This is my trip for work, so I actually planned it. So that is actually going to be my first tip. So when you're traveling while breastfeeding or pumping, make sure that you actually think about things ahead of time. So I actually sat down with my schedule to think about where I'm going to be when am I going to board the plane, when am I going to deboard the plane, how long am I going to be on a taxi from here to there. And I try to schedule my pump sessions around times where it would be beneficial to pump. So that would be my number one tip when planning a trip. Secondly, and very importantly, where you stay matters. So I booked at a Homewood Suites because they have a full-size kitchen there. So that means you get a full-size refrigerator with a freezer. So that was super important to me because obviously I have to have somewhere for my milk to go. A lot of times when you stay at hotels, if they do have a refrigerator, it's more of like a cooler. There's not a lot of space in those coolers. If I'm pumping, I'm going to be pumping a lot in a day. So about 30 ounces a day, 60 ounces. So I want to make sure I have enough space for everything. Excuse me, I'm still coming off of an illness. So try and stay somewhere. Airbnbs, Homewood Suites, I don't know. I'm sure there's a Residence Inn, Marriott version. Try and stay somewhere where you're going to have access to a refrigerator or a freezer. If you don't, you can ask the hotel staff to put your milk in the refrigerator or freezer. I would definitely check ahead to see if that's something they'll do. I've heard from people and they've done this and it's gone well. And I've heard the complete opposite, where a woman had asked the hotel staff, I think, to put her milk in the freezer and they didn't. So I don't know how long she was staying, but the milk wasn't good, I guess. It had been past a certain number of days. So that had me a little leery. So I just put the refrigerator in my room. Look, I don't have time for that. That's a little bit about my trip so you guys can get a background of what I'm doing. Next I'll go over each of the items, what I'm bringing, why I'm bringing it, and where I'm packing it. So I'm going to show you a high level overview of everything that I'm bringing. All right, guys, so here's everything I'm bringing at a high level. So I'm going to start on my left side, which is all of my pumps, and then I'll go to the middle, which is, I would say cleaning, personal items, and then move on to my right-hand side, which is all of the storage items. All right, so let's get to it. So first off, I'm gonna start with all of my pumps. So the Willow, I love this thing. So bring in the Willow. Obviously I will be pumping while I am on the plane, maybe in a car, I don't know. So the Willow is definitely beneficial to have. I usually pump with a container, so that's what's in, but I'm also gonna bring the flange that lets you do the bags because since I'm in transit, I don't wanna worry about like taking this out and like pouring it, no. So I'm just gonna bring the bags, but I usually don't do the bags just because I think they're kind of wasteful, they're expensive, and I like to control how I store my items. So after you use the bags, they close off. I don't really like that feature. So I'm bringing my Willow pump and I am going to pack this in my personal carry-on item. So one thing I will say is that when you travel, obviously you have your check bag, you have your, your carry-on luggage and your personal item. obviously never, ever, 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 ever put any pump that you need in a check bag. You don't know if your bag's gonna make it. If your bag does make it, you don't know how those people are throwing your suitcases around. You know, pumps are very expensive, so never ever check it. I'm gonna go a step further and say, don't even put it in your carry-on luggage, because I don't know how many times you've been on planes and they've said, oh, cabin's full. We'll check your bag to your final destination. There's no more room on board. So that's a very, I feel like that's very common. So they'll never take your personal item away, but they might ask you to check your luggage. Now you could go back and forth and argue with them and say, hey, you know, my pump's in there, but you don't want to be in that situation. And if it's a situation where they don't have space, they don't have space. So I would always say any of your pumps, personal item. So all the pumps I'm going to go over, they're all going to my personal item. Next up, because everything's going to my personal item, I am bringing the baby Buddha, so I don't want to use my Willow all the time. So this is kind of like my standard pump. It's a lot smaller. As you can see, fits in the palm of my hand and probably weighs a half a pound, if that. So bringing the baby Buddha, charger, all of this accessory, tubing, etc. And then my last pump that I'm bringing, good old faithful hand pump. I don't plan on using this, but sometimes technology fails, so it is always good to have a backup. So I'm bringing my Medela Harmony as a backup, and this is going to go with my personal item as well. God forbid, you know, the other two, I'm charging actually one of my Willows right now, but God forbid they're not charged, whatever hand pump it is, I don't know how to hand express, so that's really not an option. All right, so those are all my pumps. So next I'm going to go over cleaning items and personal items. So first up on the cleaning items, I have the Medela wipes. So I'm bringing 10 of these. Some of them will go on my carry-on luggage. Some of them will go on me in person. So I really like these. I got them individual instead of the ones that look like wipes. Because a lot of times I feel like with the opening and closing, like those can like dry out. So, you know, one and done, you open them, you use them, boom, bam, good. This is actually the Medela pump and spray. I don't know, the sanitized spray. So I took what I had at the house and I actually put it in a travel size, because this is gonna go again in my personal item as well, because I'll be using myself on the plane. So the Willow has really small parts to it, so sometimes it's hard to get in there with like a wipe, but with the spray can get in there, so I'll use that. And I will say I only use those types of items when I don't have access to like soap and water. So if I'm like in a building somewhere, I'll use soap and water, or I'll actually put my pump parts in the refrigerator, because no one wants to watch pump parts all day. Makes my hands really dry. Next up, I have Dawn. So obviously when I have access to water, you know, I'll be washing my stuff. I have my Willow brushes. So these are good. These are gonna go on my personal item. I actually bought a bag for my Willow stuff, so they're all gonna go on my personal items. The Dawn, I didn't say that, but the Dawn I'm gonna put in my check bag. I don't need the Dawn while I'm, you know, on the plane. I'm not gonna be washing dishes in the bathroom. So I also have my Lysol spray. People are nasty, places are nasty. There's a coronavirus going around, so I'm gonna have my Lysol spray. I like to Lysol surfaces. And then along with that, Lysol wipes that I stole from the house and put in a plastic bag. Again, places are disgusting, so I like to wipe down areas. And then hand sanitizer, because if I don't have access to water, I like to wash my hands before I'm about to pump and touch stuff. So that is all of the cleaning items. Those will go on me on my personal item. Then we have personal items, so nursing pads. These will go in my check bag. I'm only bringing a personal item in a check bag, by the way. A few of these, and then I also have the non-disposable kind. So I prefer to use this kind, which are the disposable. You wash them. I have a few of them. But sometimes in the middle of the night, if I don't wake up, I leak. And I feel like with these, because they have that plastic lining to them almost, They hold up a lot better. Obviously, I'm not at home, so I don't have like backup shirts. So if I leak everywhere, I just leak. So I'll be using these probably at night. And then I also have a towel. I just like to lay myself down on a towel, especially in public places, and a nursing cover just in case, I don't know, maybe there's nowhere to put on anything. I like to have it. You can pop this on, put on the Willow, put on your Buddha, whatever you want to do. The Willow, you can kind of finagle it and take it off in public, but it's harder to put it on. Like I need to get fully undressed. So if I had to put it on in public, nursing cover. So that is all of the personal items and cleaning items. These will go in my personal item with me. Okay, so next up I have all of the like containers, storage, storing your milk. So first up, I'm gonna go with the coolers. So I have the Medela cooler with the ice pack. This will stay on my persons. So this is a smaller one. I have a larger one that I'm gonna put in my check bag. But I'll keep this on my persons. And this will be for anything that I pump while I'm out and about. So if I'm at the office, for instance, all of those bottles will go into this bag. If I'm on the plane, I pump something, it'll go into this bag. So everything that I'm pumping while I'm out on the go, it's gonna go into this bag. Next up, I have the Coleman, I don't know what this is, but it's a 24-hour cooler. We're gonna see how that holds up. I'm gonna do another video actually on coolers, specifically for breast milk. So we have coolers, and then as well as 2 Cooler Shock ice pads. So this is not gonna go with me on the plane. You cannot take, you can't take ice packs unless they're frozen solid with you. So this, I've actually already defrosted it, and the ice packs along with this cooler, they are all gonna go in my check bag. That not gonna go with me, not gonna take it with me. And what I'm gonna do with this is when I come back, I'll have about 60 ounces. I'm gonna actually freeze all of it, and I'm gonna put it in this. I'm gonna stack one of the ice packs at the bottom and the other one at the top. I tested this. It's literally just enough space to fit 60 ounces. So that's why I said it's really important to know how long you're traveling for. Something like this is going to be okay for a short trip. 2 days, depending on how much you pump, maybe 3. Any longer than that, you need to get a bigger one because it's not gonna work. Like, it's just enough space. So that is the Coleman cooler. So those are all my coolers. I'm just bringing 2 this time. Bags. So I bought a whole sleeve of bags. There's about 25 of these. I use the Target ones because they leak. And these are gonna go, I'll probably put these in my check bag. You know, I don't need everything with me. All right. Willow bags. I mentioned the Willow earlier. So I have my Willow bags, just because I feel like if I'm on the go, like for instance, the first time I'm gonna pump, I'm gonna be on the plane. So I don't wanna have to take off my Willow and pour it into a container over a tiny little desk. I might spill. So I'm gonna put everything, I'm probably gonna use these more when I'm traveling, but I'm not gonna keep the milk in here because they're, as you can see, they're huge. Like, look at it, it's a weird shape. And I tested the Coleman cooler out, but I tested it with regular bags. So it's enough to fit 60 regular bags, but I don't know, I wouldn't put Willow bags in it. So I'm gonna pour everything out and put it into the bags that I just showed you. But this is just in the meantime. All right, so I also have Ziploc bags. So I've had bad experiences with bags leaking on me. That's why I don't use Medela bags anymore. I like the Target brand better. I haven't had a bad experience yet. So I'm gonna probably double bag my bags while they're not frozen. When they're frozen, I'm not too worried about it, but for sure. And then also Ziploc bags, like I said, I'm gonna use this for multiple things. I might use them for bags. Ziploc bags are just always good to have. I put my pump parts in the fridge. I don't just put them in the fridge though. I put them in a plastic bag and put them in the fridge. So I'll use them for that. I'll also use them for makeshift ice packs. So remember I said that you can't bring cooler packs if they're not frozen solid through TSA. So from here to the airport, I could probably make it there in time to get to TSA without it being defrosted. But just in case, these are gonna stay on my persons. I brought about 12 of each, 12 of this size and 12 of the smaller size, and I'm going to keep these on my persons. And I'm gonna go somewhere. I'm gonna ask a restaurant for some ice because I need to keep the milk cold. So bring Ziploc bags, go to a restaurant, tell me you need ice, make your own ice pack. That's what I plan on doing. And lastly, I have bottles. So I prefer to pump in bottles. I think they're easier when you're transferring, especially because, sorry, getting over some stuff. So especially when I'm traveling, like, I don't know, just bags are just, the final goes into the bags when they're freezing, but I feel like if you're pouring or you're trying to mix it, I prefer bottles, especially if I don't pump a lot in one session. Like if I pump 3 ounces in one session and 3 ounces in another session, I probably want to make a 6 ounce bag and not 2 3-ounce bags. So if I have the bottles, I can pour and then I can pour it into the final bag, but pouring from back to back because there's no structure to the bag, it's just kind of messy. So I prefer not to. So I think that is everything that I'm going to bring. So I'm going to come back and tell you guys how it all went. If there's something I've forgotten, God, I hope not, and I didn't bring it, and how everything worked out in reality. So this should be interesting. So yeah, wish me luck.